Summary: Shaping Future Support. The Health and Disability Green Paper. Introduction. 1. This government has ambitious plans for disabled people. This Green Paper is an important part of these plans. It will explore how the benefit system can better meet the needs of disabled people and people with health conditions. A number of other health and disability publications are also being published across government, including the National Disability Strategy led by the Cabinet Office, a refreshed autism strategy by the Department of Health and Social Care, DHSC, a review of support for children with special educational needs and disabilities, SEND, by the Department for Education, and the Health is Everyone's Business consultation response, led jointly by DWP and DHSC. The scope of this Green Paper. 2. This consultation focuses on the main benefits paid to disabled people and people with health conditions of working age 16 to 64 years. These benefits fall into two groups. Benefits for people who have a health condition or disability that affects their ability to work and who are unemployed or on a low income. These are Universal Credit, UC, and Employment Support Allowance, ESA. Benefits to help with some of the extra costs for disabled people and people with health conditions. These are paid to people whether or not people have a job or income and aim to support independent living. These are Personal Independence Payment, PIP, and Disability Living Allowance, DLA, for adults. 3. As well as the payments of benefits, the help we offer working-age disabled people and people with health conditions also includes employment support for people claiming UC and ESA. In addition, mobility support is provided through the Motability Scheme for people receiving higher rate PIP and DLA mobility payments. And support to apply for UC is available through the Help to Claim service. 4. Although the scope of this Green Paper is restricted to support for working-age disabled people and people with health conditions, many of the issues we explore will resonate with older people who have similar needs. As we consider the responses to this consultation, we look at the potential impacts on support for disabled people over state pension age and the unpaid carers of disabled people. Why change is needed. 5. Starting. Staying and succeeding in work can be more difficult for many disabled people than non-disabled people. Disabled people and people with health conditions can also face other challenges which make it harder to live equal, independent lives. For example, disabled people and people with long-term health conditions may have to spend extra money on things such as clothing, transport, heating, and help around the home. 6. Currently, 1 in 3 people aged 16 to 64 in the UK have a long-term health condition, and 1 in 5 people aged 16 to 64 in the UK are disabled. The number of working-age people reporting a disability increased by 20% between 2013 and 2019 and is forecast to continue to grow. 7. We want to make sure that money spent on supporting disabled people has a positive impact on their lives. However, despite record levels of benefit spending, outcomes for disabled people are still not as good as we would like them to be. Although the difference between the employment rates of disabled people and the employment rate of non-disabled people, known as the disability employment gap, has been reducing, this still stands at 28.6%. According to the latest figures, 43% of people living in poverty live in a family where someone is disabled. Listening to disabled people and people with health conditions. 8. We have been listening to disabled people and people with health conditions. Their feedback has helped shape our proposals. To make sure we heard a range of views, the Minister for Disabled People held a series of Green Paper events. In addition, we have collected evidence through research. Independent researchers have surveyed and interviewed thousands of people claiming health and disability benefits. This work has been done to understand more about people's experiences and to look at where we can make improvements. Priorities for change. 9. The insights from these events have helped us develop 3 priorities for change, to help us improve outcomes for disabled people and people with health conditions. These priorities are enabling independent living, to support disabled people and people with health conditions to live independently and achieve their potential. This means that people should be provided with the right amount of financial support, given the opportunity to make their own choices, have equal access to services, be supported to access healthcare and treatment, and be able to participate in society on the same basis as other people. Improving employment outcomes, to reduce the difficulties disabled people and people with health conditions can still face in starting, staying, and succeeding in employment. We want to offer better and more tailored employment support, whether people are in or out of work. We want to work with employers to improve employment outcomes wherever people may be able to work now or in the future. Improving the experience of people using our services, to improve the experience of disabled people and people with health conditions by continually listening, learning, and improving. We want to make our services easier to access and our processes simpler, where we can. We want to make improvements that will help build people's trust. We want to explore ways to offer more and better support for the people who need it most. Spending on health and disability benefits. 10. The government is committed to improving the lives of disabled people and people with health conditions. We want to help people overcome challenges to independent living. We also want to support people to move into work wherever this is possible. Rising spending on health and disability benefits highlights that we may not be providing support as effectively as we could. We want to explore whether there may be better ways to do so. 11. This green paper will consider whether the money we spend on supporting disabled people and people with health conditions is spent well. This is because we want to ensure that the health and disability benefit system is effective and sustainable in the future. Across the United Kingdom. 12. In England, everything discussed in this paper is the responsibility of the UK government. In Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, different devolution arrangements mean that some of these issues are the responsibility of the governments there and some remain the responsibility of the UK government. We will work with the Scottish and Welsh government and the Northern Ireland executive to consider how best to deliver support for disabled people and people with health conditions in those places. Chapter 1. Providing the right support. 13. In Chapter 1, we explore ways to provide more support to help meet the needs of disabled people and people with health conditions and allow them to more easily access and use benefits and services. 14. Each person is likely to have different support needs at different times. These needs relate to different aspects of people's lives and depend on their specific circumstances. We want to do our best to make sure disabled people and people with health conditions have the right support to meet these needs and live independently. What we have already done. 15. A reasonable adjustment is a change that removes or reduces the barriers disabled people and people with health conditions face. We want to make sure that our services are fully accessible to support people and offer the reasonable adjustments that people need. The department already has in place a wide range of reasonable adjustments for disabled people and people with health conditions. These include communications in a range of formats such as Braille, large print, and electronic formats for visually impaired people, British Sign Language interpretation for deaf and hard of hearing people, quiet rooms for autistic people, and coloured paper for dyslexic people. We also offer email as a reasonable adjustment. We want everyone to get the support they need and would like to hear what more we could do. 16. We use forms to understand the challenges disabled people and people with health conditions face that affect their ability to work and live independently. For PIP, we have the PIP2, How Your Disability Affects You form. For UC and ESA, we use the UC50 and ESA 50 Capability for Work forms. We commissioned research to understand more about how to improve our forms and are now making many of the changes that people asked for, e.g. on the PIP2 form, simplifying instructions and reducing repeated information. 17. Signposting means making people aware of other benefits and services which could help them, so that people can more easily access vital support. Signposting can be particularly helpful when people are claiming benefits for the first time. At Green Paper events, we heard that people would like more information, signposting, and practical support to help meet their financial and health-related needs. This includes help to apply for financial support and to access the aids and equipment people need to live independently. We would like to hear how signposting can help us to do this more effectively. 18. In particular, we know that access to appropriate health treatment is vital to enable people to live full and independent lives. Health-related issues can often be the main obstacle to taking up employment support, as well as to starting and staying in work. Because of this, we especially want to improve signposting to health services so that people are better able to access treatment. Going further. 19. At Green Paper events, we heard about the power of advocacy for disabled people and people with health conditions. Advocacy is more than signposting. It is about supporting each person to help ensure their needs are met. Many people can use the benefit system independently or have the help of friends, family, charities, or other support networks. For people who do not have that help, we want to test providing advocacy so that they can get the right level of support and information first time. Where advocacy support is already available from other sources, we want to look at how we can make sure everybody who needs it has access to the same level of service. To help us design and test advocacy support, we want to explore how it might look. We will explore in our test of the service whether it is feasible to deliver advocacy support and whether this offers value for money. 20. We suggest that advocacy support could be based on these principles. Advocacy could help people find information and provide practical support, such as filling in forms, but would also help people to have their voice heard on matters affecting them. This support would not be available for everyone. It could be for people who do not already have the support of friends, family, or organizations. Evidence suggests that advocacy could benefit disabled people in particular, but it would not need to be limited to disabled people. It could also be offered to other people who are not able to find their way through the benefit system without extra support. It should be delivered in a way that ensures it offers advice that people can trust. Advocacy should not duplicate existing support but fill gaps in provision. It should be flexible enough to support people whenever they need help, and not just at the beginning of their claim. Advocacy should aim to help people to achieve certain outcomes rather than being open-ended, so that it helps people to become independent from the service. Advocacy could do more than just help people to access and use the benefits system. It could also provide support to address wider issues in people's lives, such as access to health and care services and housing, which we know can affect people's ability to manage their health condition or disability. 21. We want to hear from people who could benefit from advocacy and their representatives to help us develop this test. We are keen to hear views on the principles we have proposed and would like to understand whether there is anything else we should consider. 22. The ability to move around and make journeys is a key part of independent living. We currently provide mobility allowances through DLA and PIP. Many eligible claimants choose to use their high-rate mobility allowances to join the Motability scheme, which is operated by Motability, the charity, independent of government. It helps people meet their mobility and travel needs by providing leases for vehicles, scooters, and powered wheelchairs. Currently, 34% of eligible people join the Motability scheme. We want to hear how disabled people and people with health conditions use their PIP and DLA mobility payments, particularly where people do not use the Motability scheme, and whether there is more we can do to support people's mobility needs. Chapter 2. Improving Employment Support. 23. There has been good progress on disability employment since the 2016 Improving Lives Green Paper. By the end of 2019, Disability employment was the highest it has been since the current way of measuring this begun in 2013. However, to face the economic challenges ahead, we want to go further to help more disabled people and people with health conditions prepare for start, stay, and succeed in work where it is right for them. 24. In 2017, we set a goal to see 1 million more disabled people in work by 2027. In the 3 years since, the number of disabled people in work has grown by 800,000. We also want to continue to reduce the disability employment gap. Early intervention. 25. Employees play a vital role in supporting disabled people and people with health conditions to stay in work. Access to Work, ATW, provides practical and financial support. It is designed to help people overcome barriers and cover the extra costs disabled people and people with health conditions can face in work, beyond those covered by reasonable adjustments. 26. Disability Confident aims to help disabled people and people with health conditions start, stay, and succeed in work. It does this by helping employers to think differently about disability and take action to improve how they recruit and retain disabled employees. We are continuing to increase the number of employers who are signed up to the Disability Confident Scheme. 27. Recent forecasts suggest as a result of the pandemic and increased risk of health-related inactivity, an extra 300,000 people will claim UC and working age disability benefits. This can be expected to increase the demand for WCAs. However, the pandemic has also brought about a potentially lasting shift towards home working, which may present new opportunities for disabled people and people with health conditions. 28. The forecast growth in inactivity is a challenge that we want to address, because we know that the longer someone is out of work, the greater the risk to their long-term health and well-being. To help reduce the chance of people being out of work in the long term, we want to explore offering earlier back-to-work support. This support would go beyond the existing health and work conversation, which people take part in before their Work Capability Assessment, WCA, takes place, ensuring job centres are welcoming, engaging, and expert. 29. In 2019, we introduced health model offices in 11 job centres across Great Britain. The work of the health model offices has identified a number of initiatives which could improve the service we offer. These include making better use of the employment opportunities provided by disability-confident employers for young people, 18 to 24, with disabilities and long-term health conditions, and testing the Access to Work Adjustments checklist to support conversations with work coaches and employers around disability and adjustment support. Because of this, we want to continue exploring options such as more intensive support and the use of improved communication tools. 30. At Green Paper events, we heard that our staff should continue to improve their understanding of how being disabled or having a health condition can affect the kinds of support and employment a person is able to access. We have been providing extra support to work coaches to ensure they work with disabled people and people with health conditions in the most effective way. We know that specialist health expertise can help work coaches improve how they work with disabled people and people with health conditions. We recently tested three-way conversations between a disabled person, a healthcare professional, and their work coach to ensure health expertise was embedded in the employment support provided. Personalizing employment support. 31. Our employment support is flexible to cover a range of needs and is available to disabled people and people with health conditions in a variety of settings. It is designed to help people build their confidence, skills, and experience through coaching and training, and to take steps towards and into work where people are able. Most of our provision can be accessed by disabled people and people with health conditions on a voluntary basis. 32. We provide specialist support to disabled people and people with health conditions through our national employment support programs. The Work and Health Programme was launched in England and Wales in 2017 and provides up to 15 months of pre-work support tailored to individual needs and further in-work support for up to 6 months. Through job centres, we also refer people to employment support programmes run by the devolved administrations such as Fair Start Scotland, which is the Scottish Government's equivalent to the Work and Health Programme. 33. Support that is led and delivered locally can be effective in considering people's needs and the jobs available in the local area. Both job centres and our national programmes can help people identify and access other locally available support. We want to provide more support in local services that disabled people and people with health conditions trust and use regularly. In addition, we want to continue to build on the experience of local providers, including the voluntary sector. 34. We know that for many people claiming health and disability benefits, such as people in the ESA support group and people claiming UC with limited capability for work and work-related activity, LCWRA, work may not be an immediate realistic option because of the impact of their health condition. People placed in the support group, or LCWRA, are assessed as having limited capacity for work and work-related activity. Where someone is placed in these groups, they receive an extra amount of benefit in addition to their main payment, as well as having no obligation to take part in work-related activity. However, our research with people in these groups showed that 1 in 5 people, 20%, thought they would be able to work at some point in the future. For people in the ESA support group and the UC LCWRA, participation in employment support is entirely voluntary. In practice, not everyone takes up our voluntary employment support. We want to do everything we can to ensure people, including people in the support group or LCWRA, are able to access the right employment support to take advantage of these opportunities. 35. We want to learn from the way we have provided employment support during the pandemic and explore different ways to provide employment support. Where digital communication does work for people, such as through online, video, and via telephone, we have an opportunity to make our services more accessible. Therefore, we want to consider how employment support could be offered as part of a mixed offer combining digital and face-to-face options, and test how effective this support is. 36. We understand that moving into work can be more difficult for young disabled people and people with health conditions than for other young people. In 2020, we introduced the Kickstart scheme, which will provide hundreds of thousands of young people with 6 months work placement with a local employer, funded by the government. Moving into work can be a particular challenge for young people with a learning disability. Supported internships give young people with a learning disability the opportunity to learn valuable skills in the workplace to help prepare for paid employment. 37. Employment can have a positive impact on many people's lives. So we want to do more to help disabled people and people with health conditions to start and stay in work wherever possible. Because we know health and employment are related, we want to do more to join up employment support with health services. Chapter 3. Improving our current services. 38. In Chapter 3, we will look at short-term improvements to services such as assessments and decision-making to improve people's experience. Improving assessments. 39. We use functional assessments to help determine entitlement for health and disability benefits. A functional assessment is one which considers the impact of a health condition on a person's ability to carry out activities, rather than just the health condition itself. 40. Before the coronavirus pandemic, where the necessary evidence was not available to make a decision about someone's entitlement to benefits, a face-to-face assessment was usually carried out to gather this evidence. To develop our services and improve people's experience, we have been exploring different ways to conduct assessments. During the coronavirus pandemic, as a temporary measure, we have been carrying out assessments by telephone. We are now also testing assessments by video call. We would like to hear your views about the different ways to provide assessments. This will help shape our future health assessment service. 41. The impact of a disability or health condition can change over time. We conduct repeat assessments to understand whether and how this impact has changed. Repeat assessments allow us to make sure people continue to receive the correct amount of financial support. Going further, we would like to hear what more we could do to make sure that people do not need to have unnecessary repeat assessments where their condition is unlikely to change. Improving decision making. 42. Following an assessment, a decision maker will consider the report produced by the assessor and other evidence to make a decision on a person's claim. We know from green paper events that not everyone feels they received the right decision after a health assessment. This can lead to a long and difficult process, including an appeal to a tribunal. We have worked to improve the way we make decisions, but want to do more to improve the experience of disabled people and people with health conditions, and, in doing so, build their trust. 43. In 2019, we started to use a new approach to decision-making called holistic decision-making. Holistic decision-making allows our staff to take extra time, if needed, to make a decision on benefit entitlement following a health assessment. This extra time has often allowed more evidence to be provided to support the decision-making process. It has also allowed more time for our staff to listen to people claiming benefits and to help people understand the reasons why a decision has been made. 44. We have also improved the process where people appeal against our decisions. If new evidence or information becomes available after an appeal has been lodged, but before it is heard at a tribunal, we are able to change a decision and increase the award where appropriate. Supporting people moving between child and adult benefits. 45. At green paper events and through other forums, people have told us that moving between child and adult benefits and services can be difficult. Child DLA and PIP are different benefits with different entitlement rules. This means that a young person who receives child DLA may not always be entitled to PIP in the same way. We would like to hear what changes could help improve the experience of young people and their families when young people claiming child DLA are invited to make a claim for PIP. Support for people with serious health conditions. 46. Currently, where a person is unlikely to live longer than 6 months, under special rules for terminal illness, SRTI, their claim to benefit can be fast-tracked and a face-to-face assessment is not required. We intend to change this so that people who are believed to be in their final year of life will be able to make fast-tracked claims to the benefit system. This will support the delivery of a fair and compassionate system. It will also reflect the approach used by NHS England to identify when people are nearing the end of their lives, with similar approaches across the NHS in other parts of the UK. We believe this change will make accessing the benefit system easier and the rules simpler to understand. We also consider ways to simplify the application process for people nearing the end of their lives. 47. We want to test a new severe disability group, SDG, for people who do not come within the SRTI but may still have severe and lifelong conditions that will not improve. These people are unlikely to ever work again and will always need extra financial support to live independently. These people could then benefit from a simplified process without ever needing to complete a detailed application form or go through an assessment. We expect that the decision to place someone in the SDG will be based on information from medical professionals. This test will look at whether the SDG achieves its goals while ensuring people receive the right level of benefit. We will consider the test results alongside the responses to this green paper when determining whether the policy should be rolled out further. 48. We hope the changes that we've already made will mean disabled people and people with health conditions have a better experience of health assessments and feel more able to trust our decisions. Chapter 4. Rethinking future assessments to support better outcomes. 49. In Chapter 4, we will describe how we have been working with disabled people and people with health conditions, medical professionals, charities, and academics to explore bigger changes to assessments and consider alternative approaches. Feedback and views on assessments. 50. At green paper events, We heard that people want more flexibility in their assessments and that there needs to be more trust in assessments and the decisions that result. Evidence for making changes to assessments. 51. Most people go through their PIP and ESA assessments without significant problems, but a sizable minority do not. The number of people placed in the ESA support group following a WCA has increased over time and continues to grow. Research with people in the support group and the UC equivalent group, the LCWRA, found that 20% of the people in these groups thought they could work in the future. People do not always trust the outcome of their health assessment. To improve the experience of disabled people and people with health conditions, we want to explore making changes to assessments so that people have more confidence in our decisions and are less likely to feel the need to appeal a decision made after an assessment. 52. We have developed a set of objectives for assessment reform with input from disability stakeholders. We believe that future assessments should build trust through transparency and consistency, form part of a personalised service, offer an improved experience, and improve employment and independent living outcomes. A new approach. Proposals for future assessments. 53. We want the assessment process for financial support to be as simple as possible. However, we have heard at Green Paper and other events that the criteria used in functional assessments may not fully reflect how a disability or health condition impacts on daily living or finding work. People need to be able to explain or evidence how their condition affects them, not just at the time of the assessment, but from one day to another. This will help make sure we can be confident that we're giving support to the people who need it most. We believe that considering the impact of a person's condition or disability on their ability to work or live independently should continue to be part of assessments in the future. 54. At events, people have also told us that the descriptors and activities used in the WCA and PIP assessments may not always capture certain kinds of health conditions or disabilities as well as others. We want our current assessment service to be more efficient and straightforward, so we would need to make any changes in a way that would not complicate or lengthen the assessment process. Our central aim is to ensure that assessments are fair and that people receive the level of benefit to which they are entitled. 55. Access to evidence at the right time is key to each stage of the assessment process. Most of the medical evidence currently gathered allows us to confirm a person's medical condition. In most cases, this is not enough for us to be able to make a decision without an assessment. Further evidence from other health and social care professionals is helpful. We want to explore which evidence is most useful for making decisions and to understand when the evidence should be collected and from whom. 56. The role of assessors has been highlighted in research as well as often being mentioned in the feedback we received. People have told us they would like specialist assessors appropriate to their condition. There are a number of reasons why this would be difficult. Assessors already have access to specialist support, so they can obtain advice on assessments if needed. However, we would like to explore whether there are circumstances where it could be helpful to bring an extra expertise to support assessors and decision makers. 57. Many health conditions change over time. We need to check people's entitlement to make sure it is still appropriate. We have heard that repeat assessments can cause anxiety for people claiming health and disability benefits. We want to explore whether there are other ways to review financial support. 58. We would like to explore whether a separate employment and health discussion could help people move closer to or into work. This discussion could be led by a medical professional who has employment expertise. This would be a conversation about the impact of a person's condition on their ability to move towards work. The work and health expert and the person could also agree activities to be carried out to overcome challenges. The discussion would focus on what the person can do rather than what they cannot. Chapter 5. Exploring ways to improve the design of the benefit system. 59. In Chapter 5, we will explore making bigger changes to the benefit system that will improve outcomes for disabled people and people with health conditions that will also mean the system will be more affordable in the future. Previous changes to benefits. 60. We currently provide two main types of health and disability benefit. These are benefits that provide money to people who are not in work or employed on low pay, and benefits to provide money to help people meet the extra costs of a disability or health condition. 61. In previous chapters, we explored areas for improvement within the current system. We believe that progressing these will help meet our objectives. However, some people think changes to the current system can only go so far, and a new approach is needed. Why further change is needed. 62. At Green Paper events, we heard that the purpose of the different benefits can be confusing. Some people worry that their benefits will be taken away as a result of preparing for work. There should be more flexibility for disabled people and people with health conditions moving into work and/or off benefits, and it can feel as if the benefit system takes a one-size-fits-all approach to meeting people's needs. Some people want extra flexibility in the system. 63. We want to do more to support disabled people and people with health conditions to start, stay, and succeed in employment. In recent years, there has been progress towards our goal of seeing 1 million more disabled people in work by 2027. The latest figures show that the disability employment rate has increased by 8.4% since 2014. However, the difference between the employment rate of disabled people and the employment rate of the non-disabled people, known as the disability employment gap, still stands at 28.6%. 64. We are seeing an increasing number of people being assessed as having LCWRA on UC or being placed in the ESA support group. These people are not required to look for or prepare for work. In 2012, it was forecast that by 2017-2018, a total of 0.3 million people would be in the support group, 15% of all people receiving ESA. However, in 2018, there were 1.6 million people in the support group, 68% of all people receiving ESA. This has since increased to 1.9 million people, 73% of all people on ESA or people on UC with a health condition, in the support group or LCWRA. 65. Research with disabled people and people with health conditions shows that some people with LCWRA on UC or in the ESA support group would like to work. We also know that work not only benefits people financially. The evidence that appropriate work can bring health and well-being benefits is widely recognized. Evidence shows that, on average, people in work report higher levels of well-being than people who are out of work. Because of this, we want more people to experience the benefits of working where this is appropriate. 66. Spending on health and disability benefits is growing for a number of reasons. The number of people who report a disability or health condition has increased, particularly mental health conditions. Wider changes to the benefit system have also contributed to the increased spend. Changes in the state pension age mean that there are more people now claiming working age benefits who would previously have claimed pension age benefits. 67. We need to ensure that people are supported to live independent lives, moving into and progressing in work where possible. Ensuring that the benefit system is enabling this in an effective and affordable way is crucial, given the scale of the challenge, both now and in the future. Should we simplify the benefit system? 68. People who are on PIP, as well as claiming either ESA or UC with a health condition, currently go through two separate application and assessment processes. This means that people sometimes feel the same information is requested twice. The different purposes of the separate benefits are also not always clear to people claiming them. Some people have told us that having to go through two separate processes can be confusing and difficult. 69. At Green Paper events, people told us that there needs to be a simpler application and assessment process. Some people felt that having a single health and disability benefit would help achieve this. Other people were worried about all their financial support depending on the outcome of one assessment. How can we better support people into work and adjust to changes? 70. The current health and disability benefits system provides different levels of financial support depending on the impact of a person's health condition. This aims to ensure that financial support is focused towards the people who need it most. However, it can mean that people are worried about the level of their benefit payment changing drastically after an assessment. For example, a person's benefit payment could be reduced by £343.63 per month if we find that the person is no longer eligible for the extra support that comes from having LCWRA. Where people may want to and be able to work, we want to provide encouragement to do so. We want to explore whether there are better ways to target financial support so that people do not feel discouraged from trying out work. How can we more effectively support people with their extra costs? 71. We want to explore how the benefit system can better support people to live independent lives. This could be through improving awareness and/or access to aids, appliances, and services. This could help improve people's health or improve people's ability to manage the impact of a disability or health condition. Given increasing spending on health and disability benefits, it is important to do this in an efficient and targeted way. 72. We will consider the impact of potential changes to the benefit system on the other benefits and support we provide for disabled people and people with health conditions. We are committed to making changes collaboratively. Responses to this consultation will be used to shape the future of benefits claimed by disabled people and people with health conditions. Conclusion. 73. As we build back better from the coronavirus pandemic, it is more important than ever that the benefit system supports people when they need it most. By consulting on government's ambitious plans for change, this Green Paper has sought to start a conversation that puts disabled people and people with health conditions at its centre. 74. We know that working in partnership with the people who are directly affected by our decisions is crucial if we are to deliver better outcomes. We will continue to listen to disabled people and people with health conditions to improve how we work in the future so that we can continue to make the changes that will improve people's lives. Consultation questions. Chapter 1. What more could we do to improve reasonable adjustments to make sure that our services are accessible to disabled people? What more information, advice or signposting is needed, and how should this be provided? Do you agree with the principles we have set out for advocacy support? How might we identify people who would benefit from advocacy? What kinds of support do you think people would want and expect from advocacy? Are we meeting disabled people's mobility needs? Please tell us why not? Chapter 2. What more could we do to further support employers to improve work opportunities for disabled people through access to work and disability confident? How can we support people who have fallen out of work to identify and consider suitable alternative work before their work capability assessment? What further support or information would help work coaches to have more effective conversations with disabled people and people with health conditions? What has been your experience of receiving employment support? What was good about the support? Are there further improvements that could be made? How can we make the most of the knowledge and expertise of local organisations to support disabled people and people with health conditions into employment? What more could we do to work with other organisations and services, local authorities, health systems, and the devolved administrations to provide employment support in health settings and join up local support? What can we offer that would encourage people in the support group or LCWRA to take up our employment support? Would you be happy to access employment support digitally? Please tell us why not? What should we consider when developing a digital support offer for disabled people and people with health conditions? How can we better support young disabled people who are moving out of education to find appropriate work? Chapter 3. During the coronavirus pandemic, we introduced assessments by telephone and video call as a temporary measure. In your view, in future, what mixture of methods should we use to conduct assessments? How could we improve telephone and video assessments, making sure they are as accurate as possible? What more could we do to reduce repeat assessments where the impact of a person's health condition is unlikely to change significantly? Decisions can be changed after an appeal has been lodged but before a tribunal hearing takes place. How can we improve the way we communicate a new decision in this situation? What other changes could we make to improve decision making? How could we improve the experience when people claiming child DLA are invited to apply for PIP? Chapter 4. Is there anything about the current PIP activities and descriptors that should be changed? Yes, no, don't know. If yes, what changes to the PIP activities and descriptors should we consider? Is there anything about the current WCA activities and descriptors that should be changed? Yes, no, don't know? If yes, what changes to the WCA activities and descriptors should we consider? When responding to these questions, please consider a range of factors in your answer, including what the best way to capture the impacts of health conditions that fluctuate might be, how we could ensure the activities and descriptors capture the impact of all health conditions and disabilities fairly, how we could simplify the assessment criteria, and any possible PIP or WCA activities that are no longer a barrier or that are less of a barrier to employment or independent living due to modern working practices and advances in assistive technology. Should we seek evidence from other people, such as other health professionals or support organizations? What type of evidence would be most useful for making WCA and PIP decisions, and should there be a standard way to collect it? How could we make sure the evidence we collect before a WCA or PIP assessment directly relates to a person's ability to do certain things? How could we improve assessments or the specialist support available to assessors and decision makers to better understand the impact of a person's condition on their ability to work or live independently? How can we make it easier for people to inform us if their condition or circumstances have changed so that a review of entitlement can be carried out at the right time? What could be included in a discussion to develop a more personalized employment and health support plan? What skills and experience should the person undertaking an employment and health discussion have? Chapter 5. How could we simplify the system for people applying for multiple health and disability benefits? Universal Credit, UC, has many features, such as the work allowance and taper, that aim to make it easier for people to move into work. How can we ensure that disabled people and people with health conditions are aware of these features and encourage people to try out work on UC? How could the current structure of benefits be changed to overcome people's financial concerns about moving towards employment? How could the current structure of benefits be improved so people can better manage changes in benefit entitlement? While continuing to focus financial support on people who need it most, how could we more effectively support disabled people with their extra costs and to live independently? Should we explore options to make it easier for disabled people to access practical support such as aids, appliances, or services, and why? What particular types of practical support should we help disabled people access?